Yo, what up, world? It's your boy C's from theclife.com. Welcome back to the people's favorite channel on the internet. Today, let's talk about the tide. Now, what do I mean by that? So, whenever I need answers about the stock market, whenever I'm rushing to sell a stock in my feelings, in my emotions, I ask myself, like, what would Warren Buffett do? Now, if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he is arguably the most successful investor, second to me. You know what I mean? I'm coming for that crown, but neither here nor there. I got some years to get there, but I go to him for some wisdom, and we're going to talk about a quote. All right, and this is going to tell you what the tide is. All right, to borrow this quote from Warren Buffett, it's a rising tide floats all boats. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Now, let's rewind back to 2020. What was the rising tide? The pandemic and those stimmy checks, right? That pandemic came, shut everything down. Government printed money, gave the rising float. So that was the money printed in 2020 was the rising boat. No, actually, the pandemic was the rising tide, right? The pandemic was the tide, and the boats was the stimmy. Everybody couldn't work, so they needed money. They needed a boat to survive and not drown. And what did the government do? It provided everybody a fair shot at the stock market. And what did some people do? Some people chose to buy them Lambos. Some people chose to buy the jewelry, the clothes, and all that, while others saw an opportunity that we needed to enter the stock market and see some significant gains. Some people were running 50, 60% gains on, arguably, you be the judge of the companies that were being picked by retail, right? So the pandemic came, and that was the tide. The boats was the government giving us all an equal shot. Like, here's 1,500, here's 3,000, here's 7,000. Like, use this to stay afloat. And some of us did. We got into these plays, right? And fast forward now, let's talk about the tide going out. Now, I don't believe that the tide has gone out in the stock market. It has in the, is continuing to go into the crypto market. So FTX, what was that tide, right? Like, what happened? A bank run. People ran and got their money up out of there. And when they ran, they realized FTX was swimming naked. FTX was swimming naked. So I asked this question because I'm still learning, and I'm still seeking that wisdom, seeking that knowledge, right? So I'm posing this question out into the ether, into the universe, and hoping that I can get a response by someone out there listening. What will be the equivalent to the tide going out in the stock market to see who's swimming naked out there? Is it a bank run? Like, how does that work? And it got me thinking a little bit deeper. If everybody is rushing to sell their stocks so that they can get into AMC, GME, and all of these quote unquote meme stocks, they're all stocks. But if all of them are, and Teslas of the world, right? They're all stocks, right? So if everyone was to go run, because I believe that we're still a very small minority in this play. Even though we own 90% of the float, I still don't believe people out there really understand the magnitude of this. Because if they were to catch wind, they will notice like all their stocks are literally just nothing they will try to dump it as quickly as they can to hop in on these skyrocketing stocks, right? So if I'm seeing a stock going from $5 all the way up to 10,000, 7,000, whatever the case, I'm like, and knowing that the next one is going to do the same, I'm cashing out in all my positions because I know that people are going to be doing the same. That would be that bank run. But what would cause that? Is it going to be something natural or artificial? Natural meaning there's another pandemic happening, and they have to shut down the world again. Today, we saw how some computer glitch happened and they had to ground every single plane in the United States. They had to ground every plane in the United States this morning because some computer glitch, right? So is that going to be the case? Is that going to be that artificial AI sort of cracking the algorithm? Or is it going to be a natural disaster? Hurricanes, fire, who knows? Who knows? But keep your eyes on this quote, right? A rising tide floats all boats. The rising tide was the pandemic, and coupled with shutting down everything and the government printing money, putting us all in a position to play in this stock market, because it was money that we didn't really need, or some of us didn't really need. It was some of that additional money, or some it was more that they would need. Or sometimes I've heard stories like, they said like, the pandemic wasn't enough. The stimmy checks wasn't enough. So I just put it in the stock market to see if I can make it enough. That's not funny, but it's true, man. This is human nature, survival, self-preservation. What's going to cause people to do that, right? And make the tide go out. It might be a natural occurrence. It might be something natural. I can't be the one to say. I can't predict the future, but you can start thinking and being prepared, right? Being prepared. So before you make any rash decisions, start asking yourself these questions, these higher, deeper thinking, so that you can make an informed decision. Because I know that there is going to be a tide to go out. I just don't know what's going to cause the tide. Like if you were to borrow that analogy in nature, a natural event is going to happen. A mixture of moisture, and I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but it's going to take some mixture of something to make that tide go out. And I believe that's what we're waiting on in this play. Now, everybody could go crazy about this reverse split and all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, all matters must be settled. All matters must be settled. So when that tide go out, it doesn't matter if it's a reverse split, yada, yada, yada. AMC is just trying to stay afloat so that when that tide go out, it can show like, one, we're printing money because we got the popcorn. We invested in this mining company. We have other streams of revenue. We got bangers in the box office. We got strategic partnerships. You know what I'm saying? So all we're doing is just waiting for that natural or artificial tide to go out. And once it does, we'll see who's swimming naked, because we are only based on circumstantial evidence. I know we do have some factual evidence, but it hasn't played out yet. Like we can sit here and like be like we're playing poker or something. We know that statistically speaking, we have a 99.9% banger. But we're rookies to this, right? And on the other side of the table, you have the veterans, They have a shitty hand, but they got a really badass poker face. So we're just here like, we own the float. You got to buy it back from us. And they're like, you know, kid, I don't think you really understand how this game works. And we're starting to doubt ourselves like, oh, do I really know how the game works? Let me revisit my hand. Like I got the OGs in my back saying like, yo, this is 97, don't fold, hold, don't fold. And they're just holding it up. Now the trick is we think that the game is also rigged. We got the market maker or the person that's dealing out all the cards, counting the cards, dealing out the cards. And they're telling us, I don't think you really got that 99.7% banger like you think you do. And you're like, yo, you're supposed to be a neutral party in this. What do you, like, what? And then you have the SEC, who is supposed to oversee the game, making sure that everybody's playing by the rules. And we've been in this stalemate for like 2 years, right? But anyway, I'm going to continue to hold my card because I know I got a banger, man. And you just got to be right once. You just got to be right once. And we made it to the point where we got the boats and we're floating and we're just trying to stay afloat. And any sort of FUD trying to poke holes into our boats, trying to get it to sink, let's just hold strong, man. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drink water, get money, mind your business. Peace out.